This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.
What is going on? And welcome to Take on the World with
Johnny,
the Unabomber and Mike D.
we are experiencing some magnetic anomalies right now.
Yeah, it must be a UFO hovering over the house.
I think so.
I don't know what it is. We had the
You know
same.
what? You might be right, Mike.
We had the same problem yesterday.
My headphones are sliding off. What the hell's going on here?
Take your Unabomber hood off.
I got a bad hair day. Didn't crease in the right spot.
So here we are once again.
It's been a while.
A little bit.
It's been a while.
We've been chugging some stuff out. We just released the Franklin County Old Jail. Nathan and I just taped the history of game consoles, video game consoles,
Yes.
for our Nerdcast. And we are back again today to talk about, drum roll, Johnny.
The Ruwa? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Ruwa Ariel School phenomenon?
In Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, Africa. Just for you who don't know, Africa is not a country. There, I said it.
Okay.
It's a continent.
Yes.
Now that we got that all cleared up.
10-4. Zimbabwe is indeed a country.
Yes. Where at in Africa is that?
It's
Like on the south, like in the...
It's right next to. Understand? I don't know.
Right next to Poland.
Yeah, there's Poland, and then Zimbabwe's down here somewhere.
I think Canada's around there somewhere too.
So, as you can see, we are on the Deluxe Edition Network. Got my Den shirt on.
Always. You know, how did your Den shirt not get messed up?
Well, because I'm special.
Mine, like, all the letterings fell off it like the first time I watched it.
No.
You haven't watched yours, have you?
What is
You
starting to fall
filthy
off a little here.
bastard.
It's been washed. Trust me.
Well, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I got great, these oil stains. It looks like I pissed myself. I get more oil stains on this sweatshirt. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm using too much soap, not enough soap.
Were you making a bomb or something?
No.
Check it.
And I guess I just don't know how to wash clothes.
That very well could be. It could be operator error.
I don't separate anything. I know that. Everything gets thrown in, all the same colors, everything. I get a freaking Tide Pod. Throw that bitch in there.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Put it on heavy duty. I'm not even sure if it's hot or cold water. I don't know.
Deluxe Edition Network. Podcast
Jesus
Therapy Dog Coco.
Scared the fuck out of me. Hey, baby.
Yeah, Den Network. So the Den Network always has a spotlight podcast. There is none in January, so it's all the podcasts on the Den Network. All of them. And then starting in February, they're going to have 2 a month. Because
Cool.
the network has grown so much, dude.
It was already big when we joined.
Yeah, and it just keeps growing and growing. And it's a great bunch of peeps.
Yeah, you're always listening to that.
Yeah.
You've always got all new kinds of podcasts telling me about. I'm just lazy.
Okay. It's hard to press a button on your phone. I know.
Well, I mean, I don't know, there's something about like, it's everything. Like if I try and watch YouTube, I'll fall asleep. Just like that soothing, like, which I like, by the way. So I end up having to listen to a podcast like 4 or 5 times in a row before I get like remember the whole thing. Which isn't it's just what I do. I don't know.
But as soon as my phone connects to the car, they start playing.
Yeah. So I'm a little slow with it. But you seem to retain information better than I do.
My memory's not what it was, dude. It is not.
I never really had much of a memory. I mean, I could tell you where I've squirreled away a tool at work. Like, hey, have you seen that pair of side cutters for that miscellaneous 5/8 bolt? I'm like, yeah, I think we got a box of them behind this shelf underneath this, up on the 3rd tier. I'm like, holy shit, there's a box of them. How did you know that?
I'm Chris.
And I'm Mel.
And together we host the podcast
Spoil My Movie. We were watching movies anyway.
And we were having in-depth conversations about those movies too.
So, we decided to share our thoughts with the world.
You can expect me to gripe about inaccurate details like supposedly cold weather, but you can't see anyone's breath.
And you can expect me to be totally adorable, but also psychologically deep.
And by the end of each episode, we'll provide our respective ratings.
Using a rating scale custom tailored to the movie in question.
Check us out wherever you get your podcasts.
We're everywhere. We're actually behind you right now.
Hello everyone, my name is Brad.
And I'm Denise. We are the hosts of World's True Crime Podcast. Every Monday, we release an episode researched by me about the most heinous criminals throughout history from across the globe.
And then every Thursday, we will release an episode from me about disappearances, UFOs, the unexplained, and strange history. To lighten up the episode, we take part in movie trivia at the time of the incidents.
You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts and find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
We also can be found at worldstruecrime.com. So just remember everybody, the world's not always as it seems.
No, it's not.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
So as Mr. John said, Mr. John the Unabomber.
Now, I came across this. Again, I think I was watching YouTube or something, and a small clip came up on this. I'm like, what the hell? So I thought it was interesting. I'm sure you probably, how many pages did you get on this one?
4?
Okay, I was going to say, I didn't think there was like...
There's not a whole lot to it. There is some interesting stuff at the end with the investigation.
Yeah. No, I like, I remember what you said the other day, and I was thinking about that. I'm like, you know what, you're probably right. That is an interesting fact. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. So take note, there is an interesting fact. So the Ruwa Zimbabwe Ariel School, on September 16th, 1994. How old were you in 94?
11. I could have been one of these kids at this school.
I was already working at the jail.
Yeah, I was
11. There was an incident that some described as mass hysteria. Others claim it was the most remarkable close encounter of the third kind in the 90s. Ruwa Zimbabwe is a town approximately 2,200 people, or 22,000 people. In 1994, it's bigger now, about 33,000 now.
Looks like a pretty rural place, right?
Relatively, like it's like a little town, like Schuylkill Haven or Warnersville or Sinking Spring.
Looked pretty like it was not like super remote, but like kind of like in the jungle.
It was definitely an agricultural area.
Yeah, that's a good description.
There's not really a town so much as like you blink and you're through it. It was an expensive private school, which I didn't know until I did the research.
Really?
That's what they said. It was an expensive private school, and most of the pupils were from wealthy white families. 62 of the students between age 6 and 12 claim to have witnessed 3 UFOs land near their school, which I think that is incorrect. I think only one of them landed. But it's been a while since I did this research, so.
Well, I mean, I probably hovered there or whatever. I think some depictions they showed them, like, basically they were pretty much landed.
Yep. All said and done, the whole incident only took like 15 minutes. The kids were outside, I guess recess, like a mid-morning recess. And reportedly all the teachers were in a meeting at the time. So, my first question here is, I've never been to a school where there's not some adult supervision watching the chillins when they're recessing.
Chitlins?
The chitlins.
Sorry. Is that how I'm supposed to have this fucking thing?
You just got to talk into it, bro. It's not.
Yeah, but I know. But is it weird? Could it be like that?
It could be like that, but you got to talk into it.
Yeah, I know.
Because you fade away sometimes.
I know. I'm trying to figure this out.
But it's better to burn out than fade away.
Oh, I see what you did there. Want to be like ball gagging it right here?
No, you don't have to do that. Thank God I never used that microphone.
Yeah.
So, apparently, all the teachers were in a meeting. Every single one.
How convenient.
While 62 students claimed to have witnessed the incident, several dozen others were present and claimed they saw and heard nothing. So 62 of however many kids were out in the yard saw this, and there were several dozen who didn't see anything.
This is just so bizarre.
When the 62 who claimed to have seen something, many of them have told the similar story. Basically, 62 of them saw something, and they tell a very similar story. When they were interviewed, and they were interviewed several times, and we'll get to that, but they all told pretty much the same story.
You know,
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if, do you think like aliens and shit, like you can only see them if you like want to, or they want you to? They can do like.
Well, here's this. You know I'm a skeptic. Okay. If an alien could travel all the way through space and get here, I don't put anything out of the realm of possibility. So if aliens are real, if extraterrestrial from another planet, aliens are real.
That's like, I put it this way, and I learned this from another friend of mine, mutual friend of ours. It's like an ant trying to explain the 4 seasons. Like, hey, first off, they don't live that long, right?
How long do ants live?
I don't think very long.
Really? I never thought about it.
Yeah. So, and it's like, an ant can't grasp the concept of like years or changing of the seasons. So it has no clue. It only knows like what it knows. So that's like us. I'm sure there's things that like we can't grasp the concept of, interdimensional travel or whatever it is that an alleged alien does.
Right. And if they could do that, I would say anything is possible.
Right.
It could do anything.
Right.
So some of the details were different. The 62 all described basically the same thing, but some of the details were different. They described how they saw mysterious objects in the sky at about 10:15 local time, a.m. They said round structures with metal surface and red lights. The lights were flashing. The UFO seemed to dissolve several times and then reappear in another place. So it was beep, boop, bop. They were... Does that mean there was more of them? They were decloaking and recloaking?
This is not the first time I've heard from like a bunch of different UFO sightings that they seem to just a lot of them call it like phasing in and out. Especially with that, are you familiar with the Tic Tac videos from the U.S. Navy?
Yes.
And I think it was that one or one of them. They said that the thing kept phasing in and out. And, man. I know I should have taken that load in the throat before I got over here. Just caught my goddamn throat, can't get it out. But I don't know. It's very similar.
Well, here's the thing. Like, if the space travel was possible, maybe they developed a way to fold space and time on top of itself, and that's how they can travel so far so quick.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, like some Star Trek shit.
Yeah, like I think Albert Einstein explained it that way, because he said, the fastest way from point A to point B is a straight line. So if you drew like 2 points on a piece of paper
and folded them
together, you're bringing space to you.
Yeah.
And riding it like a wave.
And that makes perfect sense.
Like it does, but I think you grasp that concept, I think
you and I have just solved interplanetary space travel.
That's it. Book's closed.
Folks, if your
podcast is over, we're out of here.
If you're not listening to this, you have missed a revelation. A revelation.
Now, if we can only figure out that goddamn background noise.
Yeah. I'm a genius, not a magic worker.
Oh.
Yeah, we get some kind of feedback on our audio that I have to take out when I do the post. And we thought, well, maybe it's the ballast from the light. Nope, we turned the lights off, no change. Maybe it's our phone. Took the phone and turned it off, no change. Thought it might be the washer or dryer because we're in a dungeon here. No change. Don't know what it is. The only thing I can think is this soundboard. So this is the next thing to go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is pretty dusty down here too, so that could be affecting it.
They'll have to get a blanket to cover this up. Although we blew it out yesterday too. I don't know. Anyway, back to
Zimbabwe.
One of the three shapes descended to the ground behind some trees about a football field length away from the school. Some of the children were calling for the teacher. But the teachers were ignoring their call. So it must have been like mid-afternoon drink break meeting. And they just said, hey, what are those kids yelling about? I don't care. Give me another drink of that. Some curious children ran towards the landing site and they saw a bunch of lights hovering or standing on the ground behind the tree. So they get to the tree line. They see these lights either hovering right above the ground or on the ground. And these kids' age, I guess they're still inquisitive. But don't you think you'd be scared?
Ain't no way I'm running towards that. That's for goddamn sure.
The lights turned out to be a round UFO with a metallic surface. Some children claim to have seen anywhere from 1 to 4 short humanoid figures standing near the flying object. The figures were wearing black overalls and had a pale complexion.
Okay, this I did not know. Really? They're wearing bib overalls?
What? They look like you.
Yeah, one had a pair of Carhartts on.
Yeah, they were wearing Carhartts and a black hoodie. They had oval and black eyes with long black hair. And this is the first time I've ever heard anybody describe an alien with long hair.
Long hair.
So maybe it was Nathan. His hair is pretty long.
I didn't know this part. This is funny to me.
Well, most of the younger children ran away. Some of the older children stayed and watched the approach. The figures did not speak to them out loud. But it is claimed that some of them communicated telepathically. So some of these kids described when they got close to them, seeing or feeling images that they felt were being projected by the little Carhartt people.
The long black-haired freaky people.
Yeah. So they claim to hear fragmented phrases. One fifth grade student said he was warned about something that's going to happen and that pollution mustn't be. So most of and this is where it got weird for me. Most of the images and messages that these children felt they got were about cleaning up the planet. So Captain Planet put his Carhartts on, went to Zimbabwe, and telepathically told these kids, you got to clean up the planet.
Like, why would you tell a bunch of kids at a school?
Well, they're the children are our future.
Yeah.
I could see that. Like, here, you're the future of this planet. Stop spitting your gum and putting it under the desk. An 11th grader told investigators, I think they want people to know that we're actually making harm on this world. And we mustn't get too technologed.
Okay. Remember that.
I didn't even know that was a word. But that's in quotes.
I don't think that's a word. But whatever. We get the point.
Right. I knew what he meant. He's 11 years old, dude. Give him a break.
He conspired with the
You were still sucking your thumb at 11 years old.
He conspired with the rest of the 62 other little bastards to mock this story up.
One said he was told the world would end because they are not taking care of the planet. The children returned to the school.
And wash your ass.
Nanu. The children returned to the school after and they reported what they had witnessed to the teachers, but the teachers dismissed the story. So they come running back. The teachers are done with their mid-afternoon
Parlay.
margaritas, and
The drinking bulldogs.
they were having earthquakes. They had their mid-afternoon earthquake, and they just, you know what, kid, you bother me, go away. They didn't believe him.
I mean, would you?
I would believe they saw something. Like, I would go investigate. Like, all these kids are coming back and telling me, hey, I just saw a UFO over here. I'm like, okay, there's poachers in the field. I'll get all the kids inside. I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah.
Like
They just completely blew them off. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's a little odd. I don't know. This is all.
Listen, you little brat.
Yeah.
I'm tired of dealing with you.
Yeah, it's almost time to go home.
It's almost beer 30. So the kids went home and told their parents. Many of the parents came to the school the next day, talked to the teachers about what happened. The sighting was reported to ZBC radio. So a BBC correspondent, Tim Leach, visited the school 3 days later on September 19th to film interviews with staff and students. After investigating this incident, Leach claimed, I could handle war zones, but I could not handle this.
What's that mean?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what the research tells me. So Cynthia Hind learned about the incident from the report to the ZBC radio. She visited the school on September 20th. She conducted interviews with the students, parents, and teachers. She also asked them to draw what they had seen. She reported that the children all told her the same story. So now, let's pretend little Johnny and little Mikey are going to this school in Zimbabwe. We come up with this plan. We saw UFOs. Now we just got out of 3 days of class.
What is remarkable to me is that so many have the same story. I could see maybe 4, 5, but 60?
Yeah, it is a lot.
To get all of them, if it were to be fake, to have 60 people all agree and then say they saw the same thing.
The truth is more than likely they saw something. What they saw, I don't know.
Maybe the principal just pulled his pants down.
Oh my God, it's a UFO!
Whoa! What is that long-haired, skinny white, alien-looking thing?
That's horrible, dude. That's horrible. The journalists believed the children were telling the truth, although their stories sounded bizarre. Hind died in 2000 and publicly acknowledged her own experience with otherworldly beings in the past, and had dedicated a decade and a half of her life to investigating UFO sightings. This is where it started becoming clear to me. So she was a believer. So she wanted to believe when she went there. Mm-hmm. You don't know how she questioned the kids. You know what I mean?
So you think she was biased?
She was biased, and she could have asked leading questions. Is this what you saw?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there. There was someone from Barstool Sports. What's his name? Zah? Z-A-H? Yeah. I think his name is Z-A-H. He was there, and he's talked about it on Barstool Sports. So you can look that up on the YouTubes. So she had dedicated half her life, a decade and a half, to investigating UFO sightings on the African continent and on behalf of Mutual UFO Network, that published her findings in a very collectible newsletter, UFO Afro News.
I didn't know MUFON got involved with this. You know, MUFON has a headquarters, I think, in Harrisburg.
Really?
It's like really close to here.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching the show and the guy was saying where he was from. I'm like, holy crap. He's super close to where we are.
So in November, a Harvard University professor of psychiatry, John Mack, visited the Ariel School to interview witnesses. Throughout the 1990s, Mack had investigated UFO sightings and had a particular interest in the alien abduction phenomenon.
He's already a believer too.
Yes. See, and it's holding true going down the line. Just months before, the dean of Harvard appointed a committee of peers to confidentially review Mack's clinical care and clinical investigation of people who had shared alien encounters with him. So basically, Harvard said, is this dude a kook?
Most likely.
Let's look into what he's researching and teaching here. But the outcome of the review was that Mack had academic freedom to study what he wishes and state his opinions without impedance. I think that's telling. Like, his employer, Harvard University, is like, hey, should we be letting this guy roam free teaching this stuff? And they said, well, he can have his own opinions. You know, carry on.
Yeah, he might be a kook, might not be.
After all 3 interviews were completed, 62 children between 6 and 12 claimed to have seen at least one UFO. Dozen more children were present, saw nothing. One or more silver objects, usually described as discs, appearing in the sky. This is what the kids, general consensus of what the kids saw. They floated down to a field of brush just outside the school property. Between 1 and 4 creatures, big eyes, dressed in black, Carhartts, and approached the children. Now, only Mac's report initially mentioned the telepathic messages. Hind and Leach's report did not mention it. Although Hind...
See, yeah, I don't know.
Hind changed her report later.
This seems like some sketchy detective work.
Yeah.
Like, it's like if a crime happens, you're not going to investigate the crime a month later after it happened.
No. Well, it is Zimbabwe, and it could take a while for people to get the information. I don't know. The children were adamant they had not seen a plane. Hind noted that the children's different cultural backgrounds led them to interpret what they had seen differently. None of the children believed they had seen an extraterrestrial. So, I don't know what the kids thought they saw, but none of them described it as an extraterrestrial. Some thought, this is the funny part. So I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Some thought the short beings were Ticoloshas, which are creatures of folklore in the area.
You missed a few words there, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not pronouncing them.
Well, let me try. It said Ticoloshas that were creatures of Shona and the Debili folklore. We'll have to look that up and draw a picture of that in there or something. See what that looks like. Maybe it's had some kind of
probably like a
entity.
What you call it?
Chupacabra or Sasquatch.
A leprechaun.
I think, did they have drones back then? Did it have been like a UFO or a military something that crashed?
I don't know.
Or
yeah, but there was no evidence of a crash there. The Ariel School reports take place among a number of other prominent mass sightings of strange UFOs involving school children. In 1966, approximately 200 student and staff reported seeing a cigar-shaped UFO landing near the school in Melbourne, Australia. Let me pull that up because I opened that page. Melbourne.
You know, for the years, though, what we've seen as a common thread is either a triangular shape, a square shape, a saucer shape, or a cigar shape.
Yeah.
That has been very consistent in almost every single
Here we go, 1966. Westall High School in Melbourne, Australia. So these weren't little kids. They're big kids. It said, when they saw a silver disc flying above them, the disc would alternate between moving so quickly that it practically teleported to hovering and almost completely still. 200 witnesses, teachers and students. A similar witness report came from a school in Miami, Florida in 1967. And then we saw that there was one in Wales.
There's one in Scotland.
Actually, I think there was two in Scotland.
There was, I'm sure there's way more than that, but I remember there was one at a school, I think, in the 90s, in Ohio. The only one that ever gets that. Drew Carey show. Yeah. Ohio. Anyways, so it was in the 411 book. You know who that is? The David Paulides. Yeah. So I don't know if we can start name dropping. You got to put some things in there. I don't know how that works. You gonna get canceled? For what? Copyright infringement
for relaying a story?
No, but it was in one of his books that I read, and
by all means, name the book.
It was 411. I believe Hunters. If you took 411 hunters, that would come up. So anyways, this lady claims that she was in the woods hunting. She's in a tree stand. She's archery hunting. And I don't think she sees this light come down in the football field at the school that she was close by. But all the kids, big football game, everybody in the stadium, they all saw this light come down, do whatever, and took off, like, just vanished out of nowhere. And they all thought it was a UFO. But at the same time, she was in the woods hunting, and she claims to either have, I don't remember if she saw the light or not, but what she claims is that she saw this, I don't know if you want to say apparition, but this figure in the woods, like the predator, like cloaked out in like clear.
Oh, I did remember.
You could see like the shape of him, and she managed to snap a picture with her phone or like whatever camera she had. And then they claimed that her husband was like some technician for Kodak or whatever film company, and he took the thing apart and he analyzed it and said there's no way that was fake, real. There's a picture of it in the book, and it's been so long since I've read it, I don't remember if
That was her husband that did that?
yeah. So it's, it's
I
kinda,
believe you, honey.
right, yeah. This bitch is fucking crazy.
There's no way this could be fake.
So, you gotta just kind of take that with a grain of salt, but it is kind of weird that at the same exact time, you have that basically UFO comes down like in this and take off.
So let me ask,
I believe.
do you believe this was a UFO?
I can't. There's not enough information. I have questions, but I can't sit here and say, yes, I believe it was a UFO, because there's just so many things that were, like you said, where the kids let off, kids are very impressionable.
Absolutely.
And you know how they say, and like detectives say that eyewitnesses just can't be trusted because they're wrong a lot of the time. Your mind has a way of playing tricks on you.
Well, the thing is the media knows how to manipulate a story. Oh yeah. And I think that very well could be part of it. Sells paper.
I mean, what I find the most weird was the teachers were in a meeting. Okay. How coincident? What the hell? What were these teachers teaching these kids? Were they building them up to this to get popularity for the school?
I don't know.
So they make the papers and maybe get money out of it, or some government funding.
But the thing that bothers me is not only that they were having midday margaritas, all of them, but it was all of them. Not one adult supervising
who's out there,
these kids.
Yeah, watching, supervising the kids. Yeah. Well, then again, it was the 90s. And,
that's true. I don't know. Even when I was in elementary school, which is a long time ago, we had a teacher on the playground with us.
Nobody was like looking out the window just to check on these kids. So yeah,
it's Zimbabwe. You got to worry about a lion coming up and eating kids.
Yeah. Was it fenced off? Who knows? But still, to say a lion can't jump a fence.
It doesn't specify that they jumped the fence, but they ran to the area.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So there must. Yeah.
It doesn't mean they didn't go through a gate to do it. Like you said, there's not enough information.
Now, what I find interesting also is follow up 20 years from then, they interviewed a bunch of these kids again, and they're like, the one girl was like super emotional about it. Like she relived it.
They were adamant about what they saw.
Yeah.
Including the gentleman from Barstool Sports.
So
he was adamant about what he saw.
Yeah, and I don't think these kids grew up to be dummies. They're like, decent members of society. So, I mean, and then you think like, well, what do they have to gain about lying about this and maintaining that story for this long? Absolutely nothing. Right?
I agree.
You see this common thread, and I hate it because it's always like, it leaves you wanting more. It just leaves you right on that edge. And it's the same if you've ever heard the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Never heard of it.
So Rendlesham Air Force Base is in England, and I believe this was in the 80s. And there's a U.S. base in England. So one night, this UFO entered their airspace. I think it was on radar or whatever. Landed in the field, and the commander of the base, a bunch of people went out, and he recorded it on his audio recorder. And he claims to have touched the spacecraft, and then he did the same thing, telepathically did something to him. And he just wrote all these weird numbers down, ones and zeros, different figures and shapes, what he can remember the writing on the side of the ship. And so it was witnessed by multiple people. But then he didn't want to go forward with it because he's like, well, I'm going to be I'll be the fucking kook. You don't do that.
Right.
In the military, that's a no-no. They say just keep it to yourself. Even with pilots in commercial aviation.
I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah,
I lose my pilot's license.
Right, yeah, they're telling them don't say anything. You just don't mention anything. You're crazy.
That's why I was so surprised when recently, in the last couple of years, there was military stuff that was released.
Yeah.
But they say, look, it's a UFO. It's an unidentified flying object. That does not mean it's extraterrestrial.
Yeah. Well, now they've since changed that. It's not a UFO.
It's not a UFO anymore. I forget what it is.
It's unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah.
UAV.
Yeah. So.
And then you have USOs, which also the Navy claims that they've seen these things going I don't know what would in Mach, what are they?
Knots.
What would 400 miles an hour be in knots?
Impossible.
Yeah. So they say they track these things on radar, following their ships, and then they just put underwater. And then they've seen them coming out of the water, fly off into the sky, and then disappear, and vice versa, coming down. You're dropping from 60,000 feet to 30,000 feet in the snap of a finger. But what do you say it is? Because there's not enough information
yeah.
And we don't understand it because the technology, we don't have that kind of technology.
No. And there has been some weird stuff reported, but, I found a website with, 10 schools that multiple witnesses to these phenomena. I don't know. The United States government took it so seriously back in the 50s, they had Project Blue Book.
Yeah. Project Blue Book. There's tons of stuff. And, actually, you ever follow The Onion?
Yeah.
It's that fake news media outlet, but they have one. It's satire, yeah. And the one, I thought it was real because somebody sent it to me. And they did a really good job with it. It's this guy dressed up in a military outfit. He's sitting in front of the podium at the Pentagon or something, giving a speech. And he's like, going to read this paper about UFOs and aliens. And he's like, yeah, we were flying our F-15s around this redacted. And then he keeps saying every other word's redacted. So, but it was basically leaving all the alien stuff out, but you could tell that's what he's saying. And it was just really funny. And I'm like, is this fucking real? I wish I could find it because it was a 2-minute clip, but it was hilarious. But I don't know. I always think to myself, I follow this shit a lot, and a lot of people are saying that the government's going to release something this year that basically come out and say, yes, aliens are real. But then again, you think they're going to do that because think of the mass panic that would create.
Yeah.
And also they clearly
actually, I don't know if it would cause mass panic now. Depending on what it is.
Maybe not.
Because so many people, Hollywood has us so numb to everything.
True. Yeah.
And
I would just there's something there. There's something that whether it's been on this earth longer than we have, that it's that intelligent, or if it's a different alternate world or something that we can only see every once in a while.
I look at it this way. If there's aliens from another planet and they come flying by Earth, it would be like walking down the hall in high school and the most undesirable person standing on the other side of the hall, I would go as far around this planet as I could.
I mean, they did say though, once we set off those nukes, the sightings like tenfold went up.
So that could be from mental illness.
And you have what the hell's that? Kapustin Yar is the Russian Area 51. Then you have, I don't know if it was there or I think it's been at multiple.
Well, there's been a lot of sightings over nuclear
Yes, that's what
power plants.
And in the one, they had the capability. They basically armed all their missiles.
There was one where they shut down a nuclear power plant and it almost melted down, supposedly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how real this is, but like it was a huge scare. Like, oh my God, we're about to die. And then at the last second, everything just came back on. And they said the equipment doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
The equipment doesn't just come back on.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There are plenty of questions, but I'm the kind of person you got to show me.
Yeah. There's just not enough evidence to definitively say this is what it is.
I'll be the dude while everybody's running away saying, holy fuck, I was wrong.
No, I definitely think there's something out there, but
I think it would be arrogant, and I've said this before, it'd be arrogant for us to believe that we are the only life in this universe.
Yeah.
But
I mean, look at all the old ancient art drawings that have, that allude to that, like the Hopi prophecies, and they're saying, people came from the sky, the Anunnaki, with ancient Mesopotamia, the Egyptians, ancient Sumeria. They believe that these godlike figures came down to Earth, basically mixed their race with whatever was on this planet to make humans as worker bees to mine their minerals to whatever they needed or whatever their agenda was. I don't know.
You okay? You gonna pass out?
What?
You just said some smart shit.
You like that? I told you, man, I'm like into this.
I know.
I watch this shit all the time.
I know you. We've talked about this before, and I still have not changed my mind.
I think it's just fascinating. I mean, some people really branch off into some crazy ass shit, like was it Göbekli Tepe, whatever. Not Machu Picchu. That's in Mexico. Oh, I don't remember the name of it, but it's basically like these mega structures that were like knocked over by some big cataclysm, and they call them H blocks, but they're like finely etched blocks that have inside cuts and kind of fucking almost like the pyramid. Nobody knows how the pyramids were built. You can only speculate, and what they do speculate on doesn't really make that much sense.
Some of it does, some of it doesn't.
Like to build a ramp, like the ramp theory, like that ramp would have had to have been so fucking long. And you're talking about, you're getting like, I don't know what a regular stone, but they're fucking ginormous. They're like hundreds of tons.
Not to get too far off the topic, but speaking of building the pyramids, I watched a program where there is a speculation that basically they were what we would consider concrete now poured in place.
I've heard that theory, yeah.
And the guy showed how he came up with that theory, and it made sense. But I'm not an expert, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
another interesting one is that. The dad's calling me. Take a rain check on that one. Another one is that they had something to do with frequency, and the guy goes on to show like he has like some kind of plate that's hooked up to a speaker. He's got a faucet dripping onto it. He plays a certain frequency, and this water like dances, and makes this crazy shape.
I've seen that, but the thing is where'd you get the electricity? There was no electricity back then.
Ah, they did. You ever hear the Baghdad battery?
Yes, actually I did.
And then there's that weird ancient Egyptian like tube with the snake in it that looks like a light bulb.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Who knows? I mean,
there's a lightsaber.
Yeah. We just don't know. But
they call it the snake saber.
That's why if anybody asks me like, if you had one superpower, what would it be? Time travel. Or when I asked the question, I said, if you had a time machine and you were able to go back and see, you can't affect anything, you can't change anything, you can only just look at it. And what would be the 5 things you would go see?
I'd have to think about that long and hard.
All right.
Because there's a lot of things I'd love to go back and see.
I know. You only have 5.
But there's some things I'd like to go forward and see too. So, but if you only have 5, that's
yeah.
It's like a magic lamp with a genie. You have 3 wishes to make.
Right.
Have you ever like just dreaming at night, like laying down trying to fall asleep, think about what your wish would be?
Many a times.
Okay, I have to. I thought it was weird. I don't know. I wasn't going to come out and say it because you fuck with me for the rest of my life. But like the specificity of my wish, it would take an hour to tell the genie what I want. Because I want to make sure my wish doesn't negatively affect anybody else. Because you always, like, you see, I want $1 million and all of a sudden there's $1 million out of his pocket in my pocket.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it to affect somebody else. Like, one of my wishes, I want every bit of lost change in the world to be accumulated into an account that's mine. Imagine you go through your pockets, you drop
every
it down
couch
here,
quarter.
every couch quarter, every car seat quarter, every under the dashboard quarter, every dollar bill that flew out into the field, every single one accumulated into one account that's mine.
All of D.B. Cooper's money.
I don't want that. That's just numbers.
That's lost.
They found it. They found some of it. Anyway, we're a little off the topic here.
Yeah. But I think
Give me one.
One wish?
One of your genie wishes.
Oh, God.
Dead silence doesn't work for radio.
No, I'm thinking of which one I want it to be. Man, you really caught me off guard. I would wish for no more pain and suffering for other people.
You're going to make me cry, dude.
Like I always think of like, what would I do? Like, just not for me. Like, think of what you do for your country and not for you. How does he say it?
That's not what you could do for yourself.
Like, I would like, yeah, I would make sure one of them or 2 of them are just, you know.
I'm on my 3rd glass of my grenade, so.
No more fucking dying children you see on that goddamn TV that are all fucked up and make you feel like the worst human being in the world.
I can't watch those commercials.
Yeah.
And I can't watch the abused animals commercials. I just can't.
Yeah. It's terrible.
I don't want to see it.
And then when you don't donate them, you feel like a horrible fucking person. You're like, I'm going to go to Dairy Queen and get an ice cream.
I'm going to go to Dairy Queen and shut this off. This is depressing. No, I can't watch that crap.
Yeah, I can't either.
Like, no child that young should know, like, leukemia. No. They shouldn't know the word.
Yeah, I agree.
They shouldn't be able to say it.
So, no kid should have to bury their parent should have to bury their kid. Maybe some kind of utopian society where nobody gets fucking cancer would be nice.
But see, now when I come up with that wish, I'm so specific that nothing takes cancer's place. There's not some other disease.
Well, see, I
don't want you just to get rid of cancer. I want you to get rid of the suffering that cancer causes.
Yeah.
And I don't want any new disease to come up that says this is going to take cancer's place.
Like, I don't know. I'm not a very religious guy at all. By no means. I wouldn't even consider myself like one. But, I'm not to say I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in the guy in the white robe with the white beard in the clouds. That stereotypical.
It's gray, it's not white.
I grew up Christian or Catholic, sorry. And, but I've got my own views, but I've often said to myself, I can take a lot of pain and suffering. So if there were a God or Jesus, like, put that on me. Like, give me more and take it off somebody else's shoulders. Like, I don't hardly ever pray, but I've sat down and I've said that before. I'm like, I know my life's tough, but I can take more. So if you can just help somebody out and take it off their shoulders and make them happier, have them suffer less and give their suffering to me. And, I'd be okay. I'm okay with that.
So now you make me feel like shit for wanting change.
No, I don't know.
All right. So we covered this Ariel School in Zimbabwe. We have no answers.
Like usual.
Leave a comment. What do you believe? What do you believe happened? That'd be cool to know what people actually think. I think when I post that, I might put a poll up with this one. Just, what do you think happened here? So we took on Ruwa Zimbabwe Ariel School UFO encounter. Now you go take on the world.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.